If I could prove that I never touched my balls, would you promise not to tell another soul that you saw?
What you saw.
Wow.
How you saw.
When you saw.
Wow.
Why you saw.
Seesaw. Oh. Hello, everyone.
Oh, we're starting?
Yeah.
That was the intro.
That was
the intro.
That's why I said we're starting, and then I did this.
Yeah, and I started off with those sick bars off the top of my head. Totally didn't steal from TikTok.
Oh, I thought you were just saying that. And I thought I was going to come over here.
Huh?
No, we had this big discussion that I was going to be over here, and I was changing this whole thing.
Yeah, it's the whole thing.
Now I'm over here. Now you're over there. There's a really weird setup over here that I'm going to make incredibly bad in post-production.
Len, are you editing this?
Yeah.
Can you make this blue?
Just right where your hand was?
Blue square right here. All right?
Oh, that's okay.
Okay,
There we
that's
go.
me.
All right. No.
Oh. Wait, I don't want a blue square. I want like a heart, but covering my face. But when my head moves, the heart also moves?
Yeah, you need you to do some keyframing.
I don't know what that means.
It's a process where you basically go through a video and you animate the heart moving across your face.
Just put the heart on the face.
Well,
How does the computer know that's your
It
face?
follows the face.
you gotta have some high-tech shit
Yeah.
in order to...
Now you just gotta be good.
Welcome to Read Weens, where we read on a ween.
Scoot in. Welcome to Read Weens, episode number 10? 11?
Something like that. I think we've been... Are we
10, 11, I
consistent?
forget.
Are we consistent with the months?
No. Well, this is halfway through this month. We took a month off.
Yeah.
This is Read Weens, number 10.
Number
Double
10.
digits, bitches.
Hey, we've
It's
done
out
this.
when it's out.
It's out when we
It's out
say
when
it's
it's out.
It's out when I say it's out, and it's fucking ready.
Hinatea is joining us
Yes.
to talk about her favorite book of all
It's not my
time.
favorite book of all time.
Her favorite book of all time.
You said that was your favorite.
by
You
Arthur
I didn't.
Schnitzler.
I'm pretty sure I
Dream
recall
Story.
Linda saying it was your favorite book of all time.
Yep. So, Hinatea, tell us, why is this your favorite book of all time?
It's not.
Oh, Thomas, why is this your favorite book of all time?
Because there's a lot of dreams and boobs.
And a lot of stories.
Yeah.
There's the idea of boobs. I
The
like that
idea.
too.
I think there are straight up boobs in this book.
Yeah, but if we decide as a reader that nothing is real in this and that it's simply all a dream, then it's all the idea.
If we as a society just start burning books, you just can't have any boobs in literature.
There's boobs on the front cover.
That's what I'm talking about. We as a society need... Go down to your local library, start lighting books on fire.
I mean, if you look there, it already looks like they were lighting it on fire. It's a bunch of red.
Yeah, they decided they were going to be based instead of cringe.
Hey, One Piece.
This isn't One
I love
Piece.
that
Put that
scene.
away.
There's a baby in here.
There's fire on the One Piece cover, too. 5 Fist Stays.
There's probably some boobs on one of these covers.
Probably. Maybe out of the...
But we're not talking about One Piece today. We're talking about critically acclaimed author Arthur Schnitzler. He was Sigmund Freud's best friend.
Was he really?
He wasn't his best friend, but they were contemporaries and they liked each other.
Yeah, Freud liked
Well,
the
no,
book.
I don't know if they liked each other, but Freud liked him. I like to imagine that Schnitzler was just like...
Did Freud like his material or his content?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
And I
he
mean,
liked
like that,
the book, he congratulated
and
him.
reading it, I'm like, this makes sense.
Yeah.
They're both psychologists that specialize in sexual provocation and ideas behind it. However, from reading what I've read of Freud and reading what I've read of Schnitzler now, one of them's fucking dumb.
Yep.
And it ain't Schnitzler.
I
Yeah.
think he mostly disagrees with Freud's conclusions too.
Probably.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've read up on Freud, so I'm a little
don't need
loose on
to.
that.
He's
area.
a fan of the...
I got some
I know
around
he's-
here.
yeah.
Hinatea owns a bunch of Freud.
I know the mainstream ideas and conclusions to it, but I'm like not.
You want to fuck your mother.
I can't say that's true.
No, but that's his thing.
Yeah.
No, it's like more the children want to fuck the opposite sex parents.
Yeah, so Joe would want to fuck his mother, like I just said.
Yeah. What Lena just said.
Yeah, but it's not just son fucking mother.
Yeah, you would want to fuck your father, yes.
Yeah.
That was the extension of the explanation.
Okay.
Anyway. Yeah, we all read this book like yesterday.
Yeah.
We're like, Hinata printed out a bunch of like supplemental material and was like, yeah, and then we all just forgot.
We're all like,
I had to watch 9 Halloween movies. I was reading a manga called Dungeon Toilet instead.
I did read 2 of the stuff that I printed out. It's pretty good.
Have you read the Wano arc?
Thomas was too busy reading One Piece.
I was reading about computers.
Nerd over there was reading about computers. But yeah. But we read it. And we got things to say.
I read it in a fit of insomnia. Great.
There isn't...
That's like the best... That's like the best
honestly,
way to read this book.
Honestly, kind of, yeah. I was more frustrated that I couldn't fall asleep than anything. I'm reading this like, this fucker gets to dream and shit. And I don't like it.
You're in a living dream right now.
I know I am.
Yeah, you're going to have to wake up and re-record this later.
Oh, boy.
You know what would be great?
So I pull my
read
PS
this.
Don't.
And then watch Waking Life. Waking Life is just an adaptation of this.
Waking Life is just an adaptation of a Slacker.
I mean, that's true. But yeah, as a synopsis of this book, it's very simple. Man moment.
Yeah.
Man
times
moment
20. Yeah. A lot of man moments in this.
A lot of man moments.
Yeah.
But what's our lead character's name?
Frindolin.
Yeah.
Where's the N in the middle?
Findolin. Or Fridolin. Whatever.
Fridolin?
Fridolin.
I don't...
Fridolin?
Whatever.
Sounds like a drug.
Let me do the German pronunciation.
Fridolin.
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 I don't know. I put too much on that.
So, Fridolin, he's a 35-year-old man, married pretty unhappily, hates his wife, hates his kid, hates his life. He's a doctor. Wants to fuck women every goddamn day.
He hates his wife after he told her.
From my reading, it seems like he's pretty unhappy with his life.
Yeah, it's probably like an unconscious...
At the very least, he's very bored.
Yeah. So he's just constantly like trying to seduce women or in his head seducing women. And then he meets an old friend who's like, yes, I work for a secret society playing piano. And then he's like, oh shit, get me invited to one of these parties, bro. And he's like, that seems like a bad idea. You don't even have a costume. He's like, I know a place right down the road. I know it's 1 a.m., but I'm just going to knock on the door. Oh shit, he's awake. He's going to give me a costume. Watch out, his daughter is being accosted by these old men. But I'm going to stop them. But it doesn't matter because he's going to just get paid off by them anyway. And then he goes to the party, secret society. They find out who he is, but a young woman's like, I'll vouch for him. I'll save him. And then he goes home. And he has no repercussions for the damage he's instilled into other people's life.
That's a cat.
Ultraman moment.
Yep.
What damage? It's all a dream.
Well, not necessarily.
It could be either.
It's a free interpretation.
He writes it in such a way where the lines are really blurred.
I don't know. The mask was there.
The mask was there.
The mask was there.
But that whole...
Allie, our cat is pushing the camera. Here, come here.
Has Ali been in your podcast?
Yeah.
Probably.
Comes on Screen Weens sometimes.
First time on Read Weens. Congratulations.
Woo!
Yeah, so all of it is framed that it could be just a dream he had. But it's interesting because in his mind,
this is all
if it's a dream,
hyper real.
But also if it's a dream, it's still real to him.
Yeah.
At one point, his wife explains to him a dream she had where she cheated on him and she watched him get executed and she had no feelings whatsoever. And he immediately was like, I fucking hate this bitch.
No, he hated her before that.
Yeah, but even then, in that moment, he's like, and in that moment, I've hated her more than I've ever loved her. And I'm like, oh, bro.
Oh, God. Are we good? Are we live?
We're live. We'll do it live.
We'll do it live. Oh, God.
Allie! You pass me my drink down there. I forgot it down there.
Yeah, and he's just like, man, this dream sounds so vivid. My life sucks. I want my life to be as exciting as this dream.
And because of the way that she's like, oh, she had this really intense dream. He's like, well, then I'm gonna go fuck a bunch of women, and then I'll just get revenge on her for having a dream.
That's why I find it really funny. That's the big man moment.
There's
You
a lot.
had a dream, I'm actually gonna go fuck women.
Yeah, this book is made
I'm gonna go try to seduce
several
minors.
small man moments adding into big man.
But he never actually, like, fucks anyone.
No.
Yeah, he's a coward about it,
Yeah,
too.
instead he gets
So
a woman.
If you're gonna cheat on them, cheat on them. Don't just
It's like-
pussyfoot. No, just kidding. But seriously, though, he is just like, he's a coward, and he talks about his cowardice in it as well. At one point, he's like, a student just bumps into him, and he turns around, and the student just like stares at him, and he walks away, and the student just starts laughing at them.
Doesn't he jab him in the ribs?
He walks and he like kind of does this. It's in the sense that it could have been an accident, but he's like, we were too far away for that to be an accident. And he's talking about in the introduction to this book. Who writes the introduction of the book? They talk about
Introduction by Frederick Raphael.
They talk about how Schnitzler was a Jewish person, and how in a lot of like Jewish writing around this time, there's not necessarily anti-Semitism, but criticisms against other Jewish people. And like Schnitzler is taking aim at himself for being like, for having cowardice. And this is right around the time of, this was right after World War I, right? Mm-hmm. But it was written like right before World War I. Is that correct?
World War
26?
One was like
the 20s. No, or
19.
This is after World War I, before
It was like
World War II.
1918.
1918 it got published, but I'm pretty sure it was written in 1908. So right around
the first World War.
Yeah. But yeah, he had the script for it, and he just didn't release it for like 10 years. And yeah, in it, he takes aim at himself. A lot of the, obviously, like the main character is
It felt
a
very
reflection of himself, but like the worst qualities of himself, most likely, like in his dreams and his nightmares, the biggest things that show up for himself, the biggest flaws in himself. So like the womanizing nature of him, the cowardice towards younger men, and the need to feel accepted by higher society.
Yeah.
How do you know the guy jabbing him wasn't just being anti-Semitic? And it was just
That was the same thing, but he also didn't take a stand for himself.
Oh.
Yeah.
He didn't take a stand for himself, and then he tries to take a stand later, but then is immediately saved by a woman he doesn't know. And in this, there's another interesting idea in this book when you're looking at how he interacts with the women around him, because he
projects confidence a lot.
He projects confidence, and then anytime he can do anything, anytime he can like kiss them or make out with them or save them, he freezes. He doesn't do it.
That and I think it's getting at a point where it's like, I don't know. When I think of like fear of cowardice, that feels like such a man thing.
Yeah.
And it's like he tries to step up at the wrong moment when he should have just backed down, like later on. And
like the whole scene in the secret
Whereas,
society thing, where he like needs a second password. He's like, but I know the password.
But you don't know the house password. But but in that situation where he gets elbowed in the ribs, I mean, you know, he doesn't go back and start shit, because he probably would have gotten his ass beat had he done that.
Because he's 35. He's like, at one point, I was a master sword fighter.
He just thinks about all the things he could do.
Which, you know, obviously, we've all been there. I'm sure there are interactions we've had with people where we didn't do what we wanted to do.
Like every time I see London, I should just punch you in the face.
Yeah.
You can't reach it.
Bro, what are you doing? We gotta get just a place for Allie to be in. We'll get an extra camera.
How do you know he'll stay there?
He will. I'll train him. I'll give him lots of food. And, like, hamburgers.
He's so hungry.
He's so hungry. In general, like, before we get too into things, I think this book's, like, pretty good. It's like a short novella.
Yeah,
I think it has some good things to say. I don't think, like... I usually like longer novels that want to explore these ideas more.
That was the thing for me. I felt like I couldn't, like I got the ideas, but I couldn't, like, latch on to things.
What do you mean latch on?
Like, I understood what the purpose of Fridolin was, like, as a character, and what they were doing and what they were saying, but, like, apart from that, there's, like, why should I care about what's going on with this person? Like, there's no reason for me to care.
I think that's a, like, angle of the book, though, because it's a very, like...
Possibly.
I don't think he's, like, wanting you to care for him.
You're following, like, a bougie family. That's
true.
It's like... I feel like that's definitely like a certain layer of self-awareness that the story has.
Probably.
He may not have written it for, like, as a regular story, but as a critique of Austria at the time.
Yeah.
Like, as society.
Yeah, no, and I can definitely see that, but for, like, how I prefer to interact with stories, like, I need something to latch on to keep me, like, connected and following. And that just personally was not there for me, but that's not necessarily a fault of the book. That's just my perception.
No, that's fair.
That's fair.
But like I said, there's a lot of interesting things in this book. I really like how it takes aim, specifically because he's rich but not ultra rich. It takes aim at, like, the petit bourgeois. In the sense that he's constantly looking down on people that are less well off than him. So the prostitutes he meets, the people that are, like, sick and he's helping, he constantly has this air of superiority to him. And then as soon as he interacts with anyone more successful than him, so at the party or trying to get to the party, he's constantly throwing money at them. He's constantly buying things so to appear loftier than he is.
Yeah, throwing that bag around, like, he just, like, knew that the guy who he got the costume from, he's like, I know he's poor. He's going to be living above his shop. He doesn't have anywhere else to stay. He's going to wake up, and I'm going to give him a bunch of money.
Yeah, and what was I saying?
I personally like the location. That's because I've been to Vienna. I really like Vienna.
Did you go to one of these parties?
Yeah, I was the guy who told him, "Hey, I need a second password."
Yeah, you were there in 1918.
Yeah, I don't know. I like Vienna, so it's like, no, this takes place in Vienna. Like, I like Vienna. Vienna's pretty cool.
Do you think that party happened?
I imagine parties like that have happened and are happening. So, like,
I mean, the book.
I mean, yeah, I was there. I literally just said I was there. I was the guy who threw him out.
Oh, I thought you said that you were the guy who needed the second password.
He was both.
I was both.
Oh.
We're all the characters.
Yeah.
In this.
I mean, if you think about it, we're just like the universe taking consciousness into each and every one of us in every aspect of nature. And
we're everyone and nothing all at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, you had a bunch of, like, readings and stuff. What are your, like, takes and opinions? I'm curious on that because you were, like, wanting to, like, dive deep on the analysis.
No, I just like to read things.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Did you read anything interesting?
Yeah.
That we haven't covered?
Yeah.
Yeah, I already told you. This one talks about how... What?
No, not you. Not you. My body just hurts.
Are you okay?
My body just hurts. It's all good.
You need a punch?
Sure. Good. I'm alive. That's a man moment right there. Getting punched by women.
I love the man moments in this book. That's why I was interested, because I was like, this guy is a mediocre guy, but he thinks all these women are super into him. That's why I like the party scene. I know for sure is a dream, because why would this random fucking woman be like, I'm gonna sacrifice myself for you? You know?
I assumed it was like the person he met like earlier in the story.
That's what I thought.
What person?
The like 17-year-old is what I thought.
The prostitute?
Yeah.
Well, so yeah, there's an implication when they first meet the prostitute and he like shows her kindness, but not really. He's more just like afraid to be intimate with this woman.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Oh, this pitiful creature, I'll send her food." And then
You did say woman, she's a child, she's 17.
you're right, she is 17.
Yeah.
They do refer to 17-year-olds as women in this, and they talk about 17-year-olds quite a bit, and then 15-year-olds.
Yep.
But the night after, she's suddenly in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
She's a prostitute.
Yeah, but there's the implication that it might have been her. Like, that's why she immediately knew who he was, and she warned him.
Yep.
And then the Baroness D, or whatever, who was poisoned might just be a red herring. Like, she might have actually just died of poisoning. Like,
and he was just kind of touching a random woman. Dead woman.
Yeah, and he can't... And that's the same thing. He views these women as just, like, objects to the point that, like, he can't recognize...
Character.
Yeah, he doesn't... Yeah. He legitimately can't distinguish the difference.
He can't... Like, he saw her body and he was like, I'm so enraptured in this. And then he can't recognize it the next day.
Yeah.
I'm like, what a man.
He can't even simp properly. Like, what use is he?
The inner thoughts of every single man.
I don't know about that one. 95%
I don't know if it feels accurate enough.
And then the same reason I really like when his wife describes her dreams, they're very like sensual and they're all about this like deep connection with someone.
Yeah.
And anytime he sees a woman or he has a dream, it's all about their body. And it's all about their young body. He talks about this 15-year-old girl he saw. He talks about this prostitute he saw. When he sees this woman, he talks about how she's older and she's like 24 or something like that.
Which woman?
The Baroness or whatever.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like, he only views women as attractive as long as they're, like, really young, while his wife only views men as attractive if they're emotionally, like, connected to her.
Also, like, the difference...
I don't think she only views men as attractive.
But that's the thing she's attracted to. Like, the connection that she had when he looked at her. It wasn't the way that he looked, it was the way he looked at her. So I think there's a pretty cool critique on the way men are attracted to women and how they objectify them.
And also just, like, kind of general viewpoints. I mean, because his wife's dream is, like you said, like, very detailed, very flowery, very presented nicely. Whereas, like, if the contents of this book are a dream via Fridolin, it's very kind of, like, almost point-to-point-ish. Like, there's not a lot of in-between, whereas, like, as, like, his wife was describing the dreams, like, there was a lot of, like, transitioning, helping flower language.
Fluidity to it. It's all like a natural state of being more than a thing happening to you. She's talking about how she's like, I can't even describe it. It felt like days and hours had passed in that single moment.
Whereas, like, when he's going to the
and then I rode the carriage for 42 minutes.
I got to my carriage, and my carriage took me to the guy.
And that's why it's harder to distinguish on whether his is a dream or not.
Yeah.
And I think that it opens a discussion on his happiness in life, because she seems pretty content because her dreams are all so easy to distinguish as dreams, and his dreams are so tied together with reality that he's like obsessed with living a different life. Like he can't stand the idea of living his own life and having this happy marriage and having a woman that loves him. He's like, and he just can't stand her. Maybe it's someone like,
maybe this isn't Fridolin that we're seeing the dream of. It's some random dude that's having a dream that he's this one guy. You guys ever have dreams like that where you're just like, you're not, do you dream as yourself or are you sometimes someone else?
I typically dream as myself.
I either dream as myself or very occasionally I'll dream in the third person.
Yeah.
Where like I am just a bodiless spectator.
Yeah.
Oh.
But then I'm looking at myself dying. Usually it's never like anything fun. It's like, look, I'm being murdered. And I'm like pounding on the glass trying to help myself. I'm like, no!
A third person? That's weird.
Sometimes I feel like some of my dreams are like, you know, like TV screensavers that like go like this way and it's a bunch of different images? Sometimes I feel like my dreams are like that. And it's just random.
I think,
like those clicky things where like you move it and there's a new picture.
I don't feel like I've ever dreamed as like first person perspective. I'm always like dreaming like if I'm right
like
here,
over the shoulder.
No, like if I'm like right here, my face is always like where Hinatae's is, looking at me and kind of the surrounding where. It's always like that like specific perspective.
Wait, can you just explain that again?
So okay, so I'm right here.
Look at how you're looking at Joe right now.
So
that's how he sees himself.
That's how I see myself in dreams usually.
That's scary. I'd always dream in first person.
But it's always like that kind of perspective. It's never like third person over the shoulder or like kind of further away. It's usually like I'm usually like perpendicular with my like how I would normally like view.
So do you not see things in front of you? You just see the side?
See, that's true because I kind of see all around me as well. My perspective in dreams is whack.
That's not scary.
Dreams are weird.
Whenever I'm someone else in my dream, I always know every detail about that person.
I feel that.
I'm just never anyone else.
If I'm someone else and I see a random person, I just like intuitively know that person's like my sister.
I generally am.
Yeah, I'll get I'll see I'll have a dream with let's say that Kylo Ren or something, but I'll be like, in my dream, I feel the presence that he is my father. And it's just I'll just go with it. I'm like, Kylo Ren's my father in that weird dream scenario. But I don't, there's no exposition where he's like, son, it's just I know.
I think I'm always myself generally. I'm occasionally myself in other forms. Yes. Most recently, I was a Muppet.
What kind of Muppet?
I was just sort of me as a Muppet. I couldn't really tell.
The main character, the Muppet movie,
if me
and I mean Jason Segel.
Were you the same size or were you smaller?
I can't remember and couldn't tell you, but I remember being Muppet-like.
Was it your own hand, your?
I don't think there was a hand. I was just
what hand?
Yeah, what hand? There's no hand. I don't know what you're talking about.
Muppets are real.
I was just Muppet Man in Dream. What were we talking about?
Talking about dream stories.
I like talking about the dreams.
I mean, that's stories about our dreams are tied to how
relevant.
Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting because I don't necessarily. I feel like my dreams are more closely related to Fridolin's dreams. In the sense that they're more factual point to point. Mm-hmm. Usually they're not very good dreams.
Mm.
But it's just point to point of anger and agony. But whenever I do have a good dream, it's more fluid. Adeline? Was that her name?
Something. I think so. That sounds about right.
Nicole Kidman.
Nicole Kidman. Her name was...
I think a lot of my dreams are more they're a weird melding. It's usually it's something happening to something happening, but there's usually a lot of stuff happening
Albertine.
Around it.
What?
Albertine.
Oh, yeah. Terrible name. I'd hate to be named.
And
Albertine or is it Albertina?
It's Albertine.
And the few nightmares I've had have always been
teen in German, right? Or
weirdly detailed. I still remember a few of my old recurring nightmares I used to have as a teenager.
That time that you...
No.
It's the same dream every time?
If there was one... I only ever really had one sort of recurring dream, and it was that Hawaii was getting bombed.
I hate that.
World War II Blitz style. Bombed. And it was very frightening for me.
And it's the same thing every time?
Most
scenes?
Kind of. I always remember in the dream I always remember looking up and seeing blimps. And they're the town is just destroyed. Usually something else is happening. It's never the same storyline, but it's the same environment. It's the only ever dream recurring nightmare I had.
Did that happen in a time when you're experiencing a lot of turmoil in your childhood?
I don't fucking know. All I know is it freaked me out. I woke up crying a lot.
That's a yes.
I didn't start having a lot of nightmares until I was 14, and then they just haven't stopped. But I have a lot of recurring nightmares of people just around me dying, and I will be holding their corpses or their body as they just bleed out or suffocate.
The next time I die, I give you permission to just toss me into the air and let me free.
Just in the air.
And that one is more of a fluid dream because as soon as they die, they'll just disappear from my arms. There's a finality to all the deaths in my dreams because they just disappear. I can't say them.
Actually, remember something that can kind of tie into the movie. Going back to how he doesn't really remember the faces. I don't Dream Me never remembers previous events, which is probably a point in the favor of this story being a dream if he's not able to properly remember the faces properly of people that he met. He obviously he mistook the corpse. right?
Because he didn't see her face in the first place. Like, he saw, as she was taking off her veil, he gets ushered out. Mm-hmm. And every time he thinks back, he imagines his wife's face.
Mm-hmm. But wouldn't he saw the prostitute naked, no? They literally had sex.
They didn't have sex. She like was just love? On. She was just.
No, he tried to make love to her.
She was just like kind of naked on top of him.
And then he was like, "I like talking to you," and she's like, "Oh,
yeah,
okay,
you fucking coward."
I feel like I have to do it because I swear to God.
It was something like the passion was there, sort of, but not necessarily.
He was like, "I love talking to you. Say more to me," and she's like, "Oh."
She's like, yo, dude, I'm a prostitute. That's not how this game works.
I mean, you can hire a prostitute to...
Yeah, I feel like we get hired for that a lot.
Yeah.
I've seen Leaving Las Vegas.
Yes.
I've seen Finding Frances.
But she did get naked, though, right?
What?
He saw her naked, right?
He saw her naked.
He saw her naked. Wouldn't he recognize her body?
No, because he also saw the other woman naked. And he, like I said, and then he couldn't tell either of them. He couldn't tell... if that was their body, because, like I said, he's just objective. He's just seeing them as objects. He has no object permanence for a person.
A woman.
For a woman, yeah.
I mean, to be fair, in my dreams, I don't have object permanence for people. Like, I don't think I've ever seen, like, faces properly in dreams, but, like, I know it's, like, for example, if, like, I'm dreaming and, like, London, Hinata are in the dream, I don't necessarily see your faces super clearly, but I know, like, if I'm looking at what I think is you, I know it's you versus Hinata.
Which I think is a point in favor of it not being a dream, though, because I think it's just in favor of the idea that he's a misogynist.
I think
probably,
it could be both.
Yeah, I know.
I don't think
they're not mutually exclusive.
I think it does it kind of a disservice to be like, this part is a dream, this part is reality, and then it's a dream right here. And
I think
it's so fluid. I feel like
I imagine
can't make definitive points.
I imagine there are it's probably either one or the other.
Or both.
Yeah.
Or both.
The life's just a waking dream, never ending.
Like me yesterday, everything wasn't real.
Well, he also, like, another point to that effect, he's, like, staying up all night all the time. Yeah, and he's like doing work when I get home at 4 a.m, I don't go to bed. I just start working, because it's like, oh, better to rise early.
The wife is up, she's making breakfast or whatever, or doing that, and he just keeps on going. He just keeps on trucking.
Yeah, there are not a lot of points in this short book where he, like, does go to bed.
No.
So there's the idea that he never goes to bed, or he's always asleep, or he's never asleep.
Or he's dead.
Or he's dead, yeah. You could always argue that this is the moment.
He got crucified. And that was his last actual moment of consciousness, and the rest of this has been his death dream.
I love the wife. She's just so honest.
Yeah. She's honest, and she's still, like...
She's honest.
Loves him, too.
Yeah, she's aware.
She's like, and even in that darkest moment, I still thought of you. And I still realized that I loved you.
And he didn't even think about her once the entire time until the ending.
Yeah, until he's like, well, when I think back, you're there. And it's like, just backtracking. You're like, no, she wasn't.
No. Did he think about her before or after he touched the body?
Before. There are moments he briefly mentions her every time, but usually it's in relation to her body or something.
I think the moment where he, like, touches the body and the guy, like, says something.
It's like, what the fuck are you doing?
I think that's when he's pulled out of the dream.
I mean, yeah. I would, in my interpretation, it seems like there are points that are completely different. They could be seen as this is the time he's awake, but it can also be the complete vice versa. And that those are the points that he's dreaming. And I think it's more interesting to not be able to distinguish them, like you aren't really able to in this book. So.
Yeah, and my general interpretation is I'm fairly sure this is just the story of a sad, tired man who kind of sucks.
He sucks, yeah.
Yeah, he's not a great guy, but
yeah,
his wife loves him.
Dream or not, this guy sucks.
And his wife loves him, and he has a loving kid, and he has a great life. He's rich. He has a pretty chill job. He's a doctor, but he just like makes house visits and then just fucks around for like 8 hours.
Yeah.
And then he like wanders home at 2 a.m. and his wife's like, I missed you. And then she's like, can I tell you about my dream? He's like, yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
And she's like, so I had this dream and you kind of died. And he's like, I fucking hate you. But he has this like great life, and he just can't be content with it.
Nope.
And he's like, I need more women, and I need them to be younger and younger. And it even implies that when he talks about how they've been married for, I think, 12 years or so.
Something like that.
And he talks about she was 17. He was 23. Like, even when they first met, he was always going for younger women. And that's like a pretty big age gap. But then later he's like, yeah, and she was 15 and I was 35. Every single moment. And every time she talks, she's like, and he was nice to me. Man moment. We need to just re-release this book. Call it Man Moment.
Not any man momented more.
This book's probably close to the public domain. We could just do a movie adaptation and call it Man Moment. The movie.
What? How long is that?
This book,
I think it's
I think it is in public domain.
Yeah, I think 100 years is when things go into public domain.
Yeah, if it was released in 1918-ish,
yeah,
probably is the next installment of the DDoSer universe.
A prequel.
Yeah.
A prequel to the prequel.
No, this follows
just about as
so this follows Eugene's adventures in the tech world.
There we go. That's what the dark webmaster was. We set it all up.
Yep.
I'm gonna bring this out. You guys can talk. If I find something interesting, I'll say something.
Okay.
I technically should have made tabs.
Can't believe you would do this. I can't believe you would just do live research on this podcast show.
I read it all twice.
Just know that anything she says is pure plagiarism.
That makes sense. I can't believe you would plagiarize on us.
Oh, this is interesting. So, you know how he's obsessed with, like, wanting to unmask people?
Yeah.
This guy says, not me, this guy, he says his compulsion to unmask is associated with the frustration that none of his various erotic adventures have been consummated. And they can't be consummated because he is so estranged from, like, women and he views them as an object. He wants to like just own them and like possess them in their totality, but he can't because he views them as an object.
Like he wants to be presented with the gift unwrapped, sort of. Like I guess if I'm understanding that right.
Yeah, it's like
he doesn't want to like put the effort into objectification, which is somehow worse. Like he just wants to be presented with, here is your object, master.
No, but the fact that he views them as an object means he can never see their whole person. And that's what he wants. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No,
I guess, yeah.
Because he knows that what he wants to do is, like, terrible. Because he thinks
he's terrible.
I'm betraying what I believe.
He's sad.
Because he knows, like...
his wife, he feels betrayed by his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And so he wants to be consoled. And he kind of doesn't want to have sex. He likes the idea of being of betraying, but not actually doing it.
It's more that he wants to be able to be intimate with somebody.
And
too.
It's a nice juxtaposition to like what his wife wants. She wants that personal connection, but he wants just a blank slate, just to less personal experiences, more of a spite thing as opposed to.
And he mentions that he wants to be able to talk to somebody about these things, but the only person he could console is his wife. And it's like, cool. But that's a man moment, not having any support system outside your wife.
Yeah. But, like, he then, like, he, like, seeks out the prostitute, and they're just gone.
Well, he doesn't really seek her out. He kind of wanders into it, and then he's suddenly in her house. Like a dream. He suddenly shows himself there.
I think Joe's talking about at the end.
Like at the very end.
With food.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Well, he said he would come.
Yeah, but he's still seeking her out.
Yeah, he's still... Because he wanted to continue to talk to her. And then that lady's like, yeah, she's gone for, like, several weeks.
But thanks for the food.
Yeah.
I think copyright for books is books older than 1926. This book was published in 1926. So I think we have to wait. I think it's 95 years, actually. So I think the end of this year, it'll be public domain.
It is fate that we read this book at this year at this time.
Movie.
We could also make a Dracula movie, though.
Yeah.
We could
do both. It's a dream. And he goes to the manor and it's Dracula.
Dracula's dream. Dracula's dream story.
Dracula's story.
Oh, Frankenstein and Dracula are together. They're lovers. And then...
Dracula is Freeland.
Continue.
Frankenstein is his wife.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Dream story. Pretty good.
Oh, this guy says something interesting, too, about Austria.
Go for it.
Do you want me to say it?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Okay, so this guy says,
Noah Baumbach directed Madagascar.
He wrote Madagascar.
He wrote Madagascar.
In Austria.
He did it as revenge on us.
Okay. So he says, Schnitzler's fantasy-scape is not the dream world of the 1890s presented as a utopian alternative to the conservative institutions of empire. Rather, fantasy here is the grim reality of a political world that naively believes it has begun something new, but that is in fact merely a veneer over the old world institutions. So it's basically like the failure of liberalism in the early 20th century.
Mm. And that's definitely reflected in the idea that it's the same thing. It's so similar to the real world that it's hard to distinguish on his dreams, because in his dream, his biggest dream is to be accepted by higher society in the current society, not change anything, not make it so people are happy. He still wants to be superior to others. He just wants to be superior to even more people.
I don't get that feeling.
You don't want to be superior to other people? Or you don't get the feeling of he wants to be superior to other people?
I don't think he wants to be superior. I think he just thinks that he is.
Oh, yeah, but unconsciously,
yeah,
I think
subconsciously he wants to be superior to more. That's why he dreams so similar. But he dreams of being like so close to being accepted into higher society.
He definitely wants the clout, but not the responsibility.
Responsibility of what?
I don't know. Like, I imagine, like, higher status means you're, like, doing more, I
They're
guess.
just fucking around killing women. Having sex with people. It's all higher society. Throwing stupid parties.
Yeah, yeah. All right.
Any
closing thoughts?
This guy says it right here. He says, Schnitzler, oh my god. His critique, he condemns the hypocrisy of society that feigns democracy, but in fact perpetuates the fantasy of empire.
That's what I just said.
Yeah, I know. It's.
I should write these things.
Yeah, you'd be really good.
I'm a genius. And then he went to the zoo.
Just like what you said is right here.
Did I write that?
London Ghost wrote that.
Who wrote that?
Jill Scott, a woman.
Jill Scott. Jill Stein.
That's your pen name, right?
Cool. In the description here, I'll link a couple of these readings that we've referenced if you want to read more as well.
Want to become a nerd?
If you want to become a nerd.
They're fun. They're fun too. They're really fun to read.
I most likely will read them now. I just was going to today, and then I finished, and I'm like, cool, there's 10 minutes before Thomas gets here. And then we were just busy all day. And when I have a long book to read, I don't procrastinate. But this was 98 pages, so I'm just like, I can just read it an hour and a half before. Yeah. And then I did. And especially because I forgot, I'm like, oh, we have one copy in between the three of us. And I'm like, oh, it's at Joe's house.
Yeah, but you absorbed it really well. Because you're a smart boy.
I sort of absorbed it because I'm like, I should be sleeping right now, but here I am reading.
The movie is very disappointing, like, comparing to the book. Because you don't get the entire book. Quality? Yeah, you don't get his internal monologue.
So what we need David Lynch to make this adaptation.
Thomas Griffin.
Maybe if it was like...
London Hetty needs to make this.
Tom Cruise is just going around doing things, but you don't hear what he's thinking. Mm-hmm. Maybe the new one, you can hear the internal monologue.
Directed by London Hetty.
I don't know. Film and... Like, that's a big comparison for like most film adaptations. Mm-hmm. And I think that like the really solid film adaptations know how to adapt a book for its medium. Yeah. Know how to express certain things through character actions as opposed to internal monologue. They're both two like entirely different experiences. Mm-hmm. It's traditionally like films that have like a lot of character narration come off as kind of like lazy film writing a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But it's not always necessarily the case.
Yeah,
There's good examples.
It's just a strength of most or any written media is you have the ability for like natural feeling internal dialogue.
That's why, like, reading this, I'm like, because I haven't seen Eyes Wide Shut, I'm like, how the fuck did they adapt this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless it was like there are journal entries or something. Like that could be an interesting. Like when they do how they adapt Jonathan Harker's diary in the Dracula stuff by Francis Ford Coppola. Like he still narrates the stuff that's a diary. So maybe inserting like a diary into it would help. But if it's
how would you express?
It kind of breaks up the flow because this takes place over like 2 days.
How would you express something where someone does an action, but their thoughts are like opposite?
You just kind of come out with like how the character holds himself and acts.
Yeah,
mainly.
a lot of that will sit on the character, cues through like music and editing and like lighting even.
And a lot of it has to do with like facial expressions and how they're standing, like their stance. But then that
like body language is huge.
Yeah. And then that's a whole other thing that an audience has to tackle because not everyone knows how to like judge body cues and people, and it opens the door to even more interpretation. So it's just like, you can interpret it as a whole different story in a different medium.
Yeah, but if you do it right, people will get it intuitively.
Not necessarily.
Necessarily. Like, there are tons of people in my life that they can't respond to my body cues that I think are pretty obvious.
You'll never have a piece of art that'll have the same response all across the board. It's always going to be different, no matter what the medium is. And we all probably reacted to this book differently, even if we all have like
even if we're all like
consensus and understanding of it.
Yeah,
just
like
because,
and that's after discussion. Like I'm sure when we are all reading this before discussion, we did have different things, and as we've talked, our lines have kind of branched into one another,
and then possibly out through that as well.
That you cherry pick, you find what you like, what you don't.
Yeah.
I don't subscribe with a lot of the dream talk that's been happening. I think it's pretty
set reality.
The way that it's like written, it feels that way to me. But yeah.
All right. Closing thoughts.
Man moment the book.
I think it's a good read if you got 2 hours to spare.
Yeah.
I think it's
I like that. I like really short books that are concise.
It has a decent amount of like questions it poses and ideas it poses, even if it's not necessarily expanded upon as much as I would like. I'd probably I'd recommend it.
Yeah, I mean, like it's 2 hours. Like, do I recommend movies that are 2 hours about this quality? Yeah, totally. It's fine. It's a good time.
I liked it.
And this is Hinatea's favorite book.
It's not my
favorite book. This is Hinatea's favorite man moment. The book. All right.
Read Weens number 11, Joe. What are we going to be reading?
Read Weens number 11. We are returning to Worm, baby. We're going to be reading parts 6 through 12.
6 through 12?
Yeah.
We had 1 through 5 before.
Okay, so that'd be 6 through 10. Yeah.
And remember, these get longer the longer they go on. So 6 through 12 is going to be a lot. So let's do 6 through 10.
Okay, we'll do 6 through 10.
Are you doing it based on, like, the chapters or how many
it's segmented into, like, parts.
It's a web series, so I'd have to just look at the word count, because it's just one big wall of text. Yeah. So I don't know how many pages it goes to.
Not even, like, bolded or italicized?
I mean, it's like, bolded and italicized.
It's like formatted, but it's...
and it has pages, but they're like weird long pages, so it's hard. All I know is it's a lot. This will probably be the longest thing we read so far if we're doing 6 through 10.
Oh, really?
I think so. What else? Well, yeah.
Would we longer than the Thrawn trilogy?
The Thrawn trilogy was probably 30% longer than Worm 1 through 5.
Oh, okay.
And this will be probably like 20% longer than that.
Okay.
But we got this 5 through 10. I can't remember how many it is.
I enjoy reading long things when I'm invested, and I don't know.
Invested in Worm?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
I've
kept the bookmark of where I am. I'm gonna have to restart the part that I'm at.
Yeah, I went to 7. Yeah, no, I think I'm just gonna restart at 6.
Cut off at the point we were supposed to.
Yeah.
And is just gonna rewatch the first episode so I remember what the fuck is going on.
What first episode?
The last
Read
one.
Weens.
Oh yeah. Actually, a decent idea. I kind of remember what was going on through all of it. I forget exactly where
I
I
30 fucking
remember the
arcs
broad
more.
strokes, but there's probably a lot of little insignificant stuff that was building up that I just forgot.
Yeah. But that's on tap for the next Read Weens.
And we'll see you in probably beginning of December.
I don't know.
We'll see
It's
you
out when
we
it's
see
out.
ya.
Yeah,
It's out when it's out. Fuck you. Anyway, if you like this, don't forget to subscribe. Check out our other videos on Read Weens. Check out our stuff on Screen Weens. Look at the new episode where we cover Halloween kills. And don't forget to tell your grandma.
Especially tell your grandma. They love this shit.
They fucking love us. We're hot.